The Her Business by Design podcast is for female business owners looking for inspiration and ideas on how they can elevate their leadership and level up their business and profits. We explore all aspects of business ownership with a particular focus on empowering women to be strong leaders by providing them with the knowledge to cultivate a positive and productive business culture. So join us, Elaine Richards and Tamara Lloyd, founders of Business by Design Duo, for inspired chats with our favourite female business owners to uncover their journey, tips and ideas to help you in business. Hello, Elaine. I'm going to do the intro this time. How are you today?
Great, thanks, Tam. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Looking fabulous. What are we, 23 today?
Yeah. Podcast 23, that is. Who's counting? Look, today we're going to talk about staff inductions.
Ooh, one of my favourite topics.
Oh, they're all your favourites.
I actually really enjoy the inductions.
Yeah, I do. I agree.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things to keep in mind is that a staff induction.
Well, what is an induction, Tam?
Well, it's an introduction to your business, in my opinion. I don't know what the technical term is, but
who for?
This new staff member starting within your business, and the whole point of them is to get them up and running within your business as quickly as possible, doing all the right things with your processes, but also in the very early stages to make sure they feel really comfortable, that the basics, they know where the toilets are, they know who to go to see things, they've got all the paperwork filled in. So, it gets them up and running. But I do feel that an induction starts, in my opinion, at the interview.
Correct. When
you're starting to lay out what's important to you about, your business and what characteristics are important. We had a culture statement that we would potentially sometimes bring into an interview, depending on how that went. But it was definitely something before they started that they would read, and we talk a bit about the culture statements in our 8-week bootcamp. I won't go into that now, but it basically sets out your expectations for staff and what they can expect from the business.
And this is a process that we've tweaked over the years inside of our business.
Yes,
and
100%.
I'll put my hand up and be the first to say we didn't do it very well initially.
No.
And so we have worked very hard and moulded this and tweaked it and changed it so that there is no room for errors.
I have to say something that we would always do, and we still do very well, is we learn from mistakes. So
100%.
When a mistake was made or something went wrong, we'd say, okay, how can we make this not happen again or minimise the risk of this happening, which could be recruiting the wrong person or having being not organised for that new person to start and people not knowing who they are and them feeling uncomfortable. So we built all these systems and processes around the induction.
But that's how you grow.
100%.
So we grew very well around inductions. But we obviously could see that we needed to get things 100% accurate because we were investing a lot of money into staff.
Yeah.
So the first thing we wanted to do was to capture them and have a great first impression, and then obviously make sure that they felt welcome and that every dot was dotted and T was crossed. What's that saying?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
But I think, go on.
No. Well, because I feel like over the years in some of the businesses I've been in, I've never had an induction. So when people were coming into the office, making sure that we were ready, and you're 100% correct, we needed to plan and start this process at the interview, and then from then on, the process started. If we engaged with someone, we would have our checklist and the boxes were being ticked.
Yeah. And how often have you heard someone say, a friend or whoever, say, went for an interview, got the job, started the job.
Haven't
the
heard
job's
from them.
not, well, no, not even that. The job's not what I thought it would be. It's not as explained in the interview.
Yeah.
So I think, it's that whole process of being really honest, because you're wanting to attract someone that wants to do that job, even if in your mind it's the shittiest job.
Yeah.
Like I had someone say, leasing consultant's the worst job ever. Well, I actually think leasing consultant is a great job. So many opportunities, you're out all the time in the office, so it's not boring. But for someone else, they might not like the idea of that. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. And so to sell the job as it is, don't sugarcoat it, but be honest. And also, if you've got a positive culture in your business, you can be selling that as part of the interview, because you kind of got to sell yourself in an interview as well, because often they're going for 3 or 4 jobs.
Correct.
So you need to they need to look around and go, actually, I want to work here. What they're saying sounds good. Okay, I want to start. Okay, so they get offered the job. Then they get a nice phone call from you, or, well, say if you do the interview, then I might call them and say, congratulations on getting the new role. And then a text message comes from another staff member to say, hi, Mary, congratulations. I believe you're starting next week. My name's Lynn, And, so they have these things, and they haven't even started, and they've already got a few text message and things from the staff saying how excited they are. Then they get an email, or they get a pack they have to pick up with all their information in, their tax file number, their contracts.
Before they start.
Yep. Emergency contact. So it's got everything in it. It's got the culture statement. It has a list of where these are all the meetings that you have to attend each week. There's a one-on-one catch-up on a Friday. Every Tuesday is a sales meeting, and they're like, I'm starting to I can feel there's a lot going on, but I kind of know what I'm walking into.
Yeah. And there's one person that is constantly in touch with that person before they start booking things, and it might be photos, ordering badges. It's all in the process.
And that person, maybe it's an office manager, it might be the business owner, has a checklist. So that's the main thing. Have a checklist for your induction. So it's not that you're so busy you might not remember to call that person, but if it's on your checklist, call 3 days before, or call on day they get the job. Like, if you need that written down, put it on your checklist so that it's done, and then who's doing what as part of that whole induction process. There might be a section there for the accounts/HR department, which we had, a part for the office manager, a part for URI, part for the head of department. So make sure that checklist is there. And then on the first day, what's really important, Elaine?
That we are prepared for the new staff member, and that we have, shall I run a quick list? Obviously, the receptionist knows that they're coming in, and a warm welcome, meet and greet. They do a tour of the office. Then they are shown where their desk is, and we have a computer, Tamara. Yeah. Everything's there, plugged in, ready to go, a phone, you name it. All the IT has to be prepared, set up, ready to go, their emails working and everything. And that is the job of, obviously, on our checklist of our office admin manager. And she did that really well. But the last thing you want to do is
sometimes didn't go always perfect to plan, but it wasn't like we weren't prepared. Like, IT might have been coming in later that day.
I think a couple of times post-COVID or through COVID, there was trouble getting Apple products or computer products, but they had been ordered. So, as soon as we had engaged someone to come on board and employed someone, that process started. And obviously they came, they started, we were prepared, we were ready, and we had a plan then around.
The rest of the staff knew they were starting so that they didn't wonder who this strange person was walking around the office.
On the first day, the last thing you also want is them to be left by themselves with no attention, like no one's engaging, or, you have to have a plan. And in that induction process, we would say, okay, for this part of the day, they're going to be with you or I, because we go through an induction, their head of department and the office manager. So it was completely organised and set out and planned for their first day.
And even little things such as who are they going to have their lunch with on the first day. I know that's really sad, but look, that if you like coffee, there's a great coffee shop. Maybe it's the team leader or someone within the business says, look, I'll grab my lunch at this time. If you want to have lunch with me today or whatever, that's fine. We can go down to the park or whatever it is that you do in your office, but just let them feel, I don't know, unloved, or that they don't fit in, or make sure they feel a little bit.
We even went as far as the parking in our area. Where did you park? Because parking's allocated for all day in this area, things like that. And I think if you can make them that first impression in that first, 8 hours of someone's, new starting job, that impact is powerful.
Yeah, 100%. So, a lot of people do leave a business within those first probably few weeks.
Absolutely. And how many times have we spoken to people and they've said, oh, well, started a job. They didn't have any of that. No one knew who I was. They didn't have keys. They didn't have a computer. They didn't have a phone. What software? Don't know. Nothing. And the amount of time that was down and wasted in that first few days because they weren't organised. So 100%. Set yourself up, set your business up. You go on to
set them up to succeed and set your business up to succeed. So you do need to have a plan and an induction planned out. I think training them, in having the training schedule set up for the first week, month of all the, depending on their role, who's going to train them in what area.
But training.
Yeah.
Plan it. Yeah. Make sure you've got a checklist, who's doing what, and then make sure that, so we used to use our office manager, head of department, and we'd say, right, you need to tick off when you feel that person is 100% across that process, that software, knows that is a non-negotiable, and that had to be completed and then handed to us. And that was allowing, obviously, the new staff member to be set up to succeed, because if there was things there, we can't have a go at them if they haven't been taught properly.
Yeah,
so
100%.
That's our job, that we're accountable to them and have a duty of care to deliver the training that they need to come in and do what they should do. And that includes safety. There's so much involved in an induction. If you need help with an induction list on what needs to be covered, we do touch on that in our boot camp. But I think every business should have a clear and precise process around an induction. 100%. Otherwise, you're going to have them walk out.
And even, who to go to, and I think I touched on this, but for payroll, staff issues, how to handle issues. So we were really clear on how issues should be handled within our business and who they should go to at what point. So we would explain that to them in the induction. And then other simple things like, how do you order stationery, or do you bring your own stationery? What's the expectation? Where do you find the toilet paper if it runs out? All those sort of things, and what's expected of them within the business. Do they actually have to go get the toilet paper, or does it just arrive in the toilet?
Petty cash.
Petty cash.
One thing,
security measures, as you said, and what we expect from them.
That was part of our induction that we did. So some conversations inside an induction should be done by the head of the business or the business owner. And they are difficult, challenging conversations around presentation, non-negotiable, appropriate attire. We're a corporate office or business attire.
Deodorant.
Presentation, as in
deodorant,
your hair done.
But deodorant, that's part of that whole present. You don't want to be that smelly agent or.
But also, we do not tolerate certain types of behaviour, whether it's bullying, bitching, it's negative,
racism, etc.
Everything. So we, from day dot, let them know very clearly that we did not tolerate any of that behaviour.
We even said that, though, in our interviews. And you know what? The amount of people that said, oh, thank goodness for that, when we said we don't tolerate bitchiness within our business, the amount of people, particularly women, when we employed them, were like, oh, thank goodness for that, because that's one of the reasons I'm leaving. Yeah. It was such a toxic environment. And you're like, so that is actually a point of difference, believe it or not, if you don't have a bitchy environment. If you do, well, you probably need to work on it.
But in that situation, we also went as far as saying, right, if a situation pops up, we ask that you try and approach that person, try and resolve it yourself. Don't go and talk to such and such or such and such.
And that was our process for that.
And then if you can't resolve it, then come to us and we'll talk through it. But we were very clear on what our position was around that.
Yeah, 100%.
But then moving on to security, safety, there was a lot of things that we ticked off on.
Yeah, and the different events that we did and whether they're expected to come and, that we did some family events. And so just explaining all that and the team meetings and what of those things are non-negotiable and when they were. And then, as you said, like the training list, going through that induction, which a lot of it was done on the first day, but some of it might have been done over that first week, depending what it was, and then signing it off to make sure that, it's all done.
And then if it was great to have it signed off, because in the event that they came back and said, oh, well, I never knew that, or I wasn't taught that, well, then you've got that there as a protection. And you can say, well, hey, remember this, we did this,
Signed off and to say you were explained to you.
Yeah. So I think it's all around communication again, Tam.
Yes, but just having a plan and, if you don't have a plan around the induction, I actually don't think it matters how big or small your business is. You need an induction. And when we actually worked with Kirsten Jones from She Studio, before she employed any staff, we talked about having an induction and how that would look. So that because I said when you get to the point of needing to employ your first staff member, you're going to actually be really busy, because that's why you need your first staff member. So you want to plan these things before you get really busy, if you're in a position to do that. So don't feel like the induction is just for when you have a lot of staff. No, you should do it before you even have any staff if you've got that luxury.
And you should really review this as your business grows.
Yeah.
You need to
every time you do
tweak
it,
things.
yeah.
You know, new software, new changes inside your business. You need to go back and reflect on that and check it.
Yeah, the thing that I found that outdated quite quickly was that initial pack that we would give them to say when meetings were and who's who in the zoo, because, you know, staff changed. So that needed to be looked at every time. You couldn't just have the packs ready and hand them out as such, because some of those things did change, you know,
Mobile
quite frequently.
numbers.
Yeah. So, but look, I think that gives a pretty good overview of inductions. And what, you know, gives you some things to think about, and hopefully we've inspired you to get organised with your inductions.
Yeah, sit down and
take them
write,
seriously.
But actually reflect and sit down and write your induction, if you don't have one, what it looks like, and maybe that's a task that they can try and do this week. And
absolutely, and we do cover it in a lot more detail in our boot camp. So if you're interested in doing our boot camp, we give you a lot of one-on-one time as well. So you can actually register on our wait list on our boot camp, which is all on our website. Other than that, if you haven't already done it, jump on and do our leadership quiz, which only takes 5 minutes. But certainly, I think if you've got staff or thinking of managing staff, it's free. It takes 5 minutes. Go to businessbydesignduo.com.au / just businessbydesignduo.com.au, and it's
at the top.
It's at the top, in the banner. Take our quiz. So have a fabulous week ahead.
Yes, and we will be back soon.
We'll be back in another week.
Yeah. Have a great one. Thanks, listeners.
See you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in, and congratulations on getting to the end. If you loved this episode, why don't you hit the subscribe button, share this podcast with a friend, and leave a review. Reviews and referrals are the best way to help a small business. If you are interested in downloading any of our free business resources, go to businessbydesignduo.com.au and click on the Business Resources tab. We're Elaine and Tamara, and we can't wait to have you back for our next episode. You can connect with us on socials, Business by Design Duo, or go to our website, businessbydesignduo.com.au. Have an amazing day.